Welcome to the Membership Guys podcast. Kick-ass advice and tips for membership site owners.
Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 232 of the Membership Guys podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morrison. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you are just discovering the Membership Guys podcast, first of all, welcome. And secondly, congratulations on finding the number one source of proven practical tips and advice on growing a membership business. Do one thing before we get things started with this episode. Make sure you hit that subscribe button in your podcast app, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever the kids are using to listen to podcasts in these days. Hit subscribe just to make sure you do not miss a single weekly episode. We've been putting out this show for, about 4 years now, and we've got no plans to stop. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed in order to get your weekly dose of membership advice. Now, if you're already subscribed, if you're a long-term listener, you know I love you. You know I appreciate your support. I appreciate you checking out the show and spending some time with me each week. And just thank you as always. Today, we are talking about joining fees. Contentious topic in the world of membership. Should you charge a joining fee for your membership? I've got to say, first and foremost, disclaimer, I'm really not a fan of charging a joining fee for a membership. And just to be clear, what we're talking about here is charging a fixed fee that is on top of your regular monthly fee. So this isn't a case of, you buy a course, for example, for $500, and then at the end of that course, you then have the option to continue on in a membership, which is kind of a continuation. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about generally a purely arbitrary fee. That is just an extra thing that you pay on top of your first monthly payment. I'm not a fan. The main reason is that so many people do charge them as a purely arbitrary fee. There's no reason, there's no logic, there's no justification for that fee other than that person just wants more money. Or worse, they've started their membership, they've realized that no one is staying in the membership for more than 2 or 3 months. And so instead of addressing the real problem, which is probably that their membership isn't good enough to get people to stay, they just whack a joining fee on instead. That's the way that will make more money from you. If they can't convince you to stick around long enough for them to earn enough money from you to make it worth their while running the membership, they'll just make you pay an extra $200 in your first month. Easy. Easier than actually, delivering a good product that people want to stay subscribed to, right? So a lot of people, this is all to say, a lot of people charge a joining fee just because they can get away with it. You'll see this quite often in memberships that are run by people who are generally considered the foremost person within their industry. And so they essentially use the name recognition, the clout, to get away with it, to justify that extra $100 or $200 for basically nothing, right? For the privilege of being allowed to then also pay them $50 a month. So those type of situations, I do not like joining fees. Mainly, setting aside the financial side of things, mainly is because the mindset involved in making that decision suggests that these people simply don't have their members' interests at heart. And that is going to be evident in pretty much every other aspect of how they do business. It's very rare that you get an incredible membership that is very ethically run, where the content is amazing, where the customer service is phenomenal, but that also has a joining fee. Usually, you get a joining fee. You also can't cancel or manage your own account. You also can't request a refund if the membership sucks. Usually, the membership does suck. So, the type of memberships I'm talking about, it's more about the mindset and the overall approach that having a totally arbitrary joining fee suggests is the way that this person does business. Or, and this one's a little bit worse, people who charge a fee because they don't like the idea that someone who joins their site gets instant access to their back catalog. So most of the time, if you've got a membership where you're adding new content frequently, all of that content goes into a library, and then anyone joining your membership gets access to that library. Some people don't like that as membership owners. You join a 2-year-old membership, you get instant access to 2 years worth of content. They justify to themselves that that's not fair, that it's unjust that you should be able to get 2 years worth of content when you haven't been paying them for the last 2 years. Honestly, it's backwards logic. I can see how someone can arrive at that kind of conclusion, but it is a little backwards. Someone joining doesn't instantly have their brain loaded up with all that education, all that material. It's not like in the movie The Matrix, where you just plug in a cartridge that's connected to your brain and then, poof, instantly, you know Kung Fu. Yes, someone also gets access to months and years worth of stuff if they join your membership, but it would take them ages to get through it all, which means if someone did want to go through the entirety of your back catalogue, then they'd need to stick around and stay subscribed for months in order to consume it all, and that's a good thing for you. So this is a nonsense reason to charge a joining fee, in my personal opinion. Can you imagine if Netflix decided to charge a joining fee based on the fact that when you subscribe, you can access all the stuff that was added prior to the date you subscribed? That fee would get literally higher and higher with every new show that they added. You'd need to pay like $1,000 on the day you join Netflix because they've got this back catalogue. So yeah, not a big fan of that justification for joining fees either. If you really just cannot reconcile the idea that someone joining today will get content that was released last month, last year, whatever, then you need to change your membership model. You need to revert to a model where people can only access the content that is published from their join date onwards. There are plugins to let you do that. Then you could sell your back catalogue as a separate upsell to people who actually want to pay for it as an extra. Because again, if you're deciding you're going to charge people a $300 joining fee because of the fact that they get access to a back catalogue of stuff that was released prior to them joining, then what about the people who don't care about that back catalogue? You know? So you need to change your membership model if you just cannot wrap your head around that principle. Sadly, the majority of people that we do see charging joining fees are doing it for one of those terrible reasons, either as a lazy way of squeezing more money out of people or as part of a crazy mindset that feels it's unfair for members to get past content as part of their monthly fee. So clearly, I don't think you should charge a joining fee if those are your reasons. However, there are legitimate situations where a joining fee is appropriate. If there's a real added cost or time involved in onboarding a brand new member, then that may warrant a joining fee. So maybe there's some sort of coaching, maybe there's a tool, a software, a product that is given to every new member of your site when they sign up. That is a good reason for a joining fee. For example, one of our members has a membership site for people of Irish heritage to connect with other people of Irish heritage and explore their family history and all that sort of stuff. Now, new members to that site actually get given access to genealogy software. And the membership owners actually license that software on a user-to-user basis as soon as somebody joins up. So there's a cost to that. You get that real additional one-time added value through that extra product that you get when you join. So there's definitely a legitimate reason for a joining fee to cover that and to cover the cost that the membership owner incurs through you joining and through providing you with that tool, that software, that product up front. I've also seen memberships in the crafting space or the arts and crafts space. I think it was either knitting membership or maybe in a cross-stitching membership where every new member got a starter kit that actually included equipment, materials, yarn, threads, all that sort of stuff. So again, real added cost that totally justifies charging an upfront joining fee. So that's definitely a legitimate situation where you can charge a joining fee. Another is where maybe someone gets something of significant value that is totally separate to the membership. So, for example, a ticket to a live event. Now, that's something that they'd possibly still have even if they left your membership. So it makes sense you'd want to charge a bit more upfront when they join to account for that. So, if your membership is $30 a month, but every single new member gets a ticket for a conference that costs $300, then yeah, it makes sense to have a joining fee to cover that. Otherwise, you're going to get people signing up for 1 month, getting their free ticket, and then cancelling their membership. So again, that's a situation where a joining fee might make sense. Not just the tickets for events. Again, it might be every new member gets 3 personal coaching calls in order to help them set goals, which the membership then helps them to actually work towards. Again, there's so much front-loaded value, and private coaching is a totally separate value proposition to the membership, so it makes sense to charge a little more upfront to account for that. Another situation that I feel is a totally legitimate cause for a joining fee is where the joining fee itself is actually a bulk payment for a longer initial period of membership. So you pay for your first 6 months in advance in one go, and then after that you revert to monthly. So it's less of an additional joining fee, but it's more of a higher initial commitment and thus a higher initial cost that is followed by the regular monthly payment. So again, you'll see this in memberships that are front-ended by a coaching program or maybe a signature course. So those are 3 totally legitimate examples of cases where it makes all the sense in the world to charge a joining fee, and a couple of situations where it doesn't. If there's a real added cost or time involved in onboarding a new member, so there's a tool, a product, or a software that they are provided that costs you as a membership site owner money, a joining fee makes sense. If you're front-ending the offering with something of significant value that is separate to the membership, it's not part of your ongoing regular membership offering, so a ticket to a live event or something like that, then again, joining fee can make sense. Or your joining fee could actually be a bulk payment for a longer initial period of membership. So it's more about getting that initial commitment period. It may actually be that that it'll take someone 6 months to really get the momentum needed in order to then extract the full value of the membership. This can be a great way of ensuring that anyone who does join your site has the right level of commitment for that. 3 totally legit examples where a membership joining fee makes sense. The 2 where it doesn't, of course, where you're just being greedy, you just want more money, you're too lazy to make your membership one where people want to stick around, and where you're just got the wrong mindset, or you feel it's unjust or unfair that someone gets access to older content when they join your membership, and so you charge a nominal extra fee to cover that. I'm not a fan of joining fees for those purposes, as you may have been able to tell. Ultimately, if you're on the fence about whether a joining fee is something you should be charging or not, ask yourself whether you feel that you can explain and justify this fee to a potential customer in terms of the value they're getting in exchange for that added charge, without ever sounding like you're making excuses or favoring your own interests over theirs. Be honest about it. Be objective about it. If someone was saying this to you, would it fly? Really? And even if it does make sense to have a joining fee, keep in mind that having a fee like that can be difficult for the average consumer to reconcile, even if you have a great reason for it. It's an extra barrier to entry, and to some people, it may seem like a penalty of sorts. So I'd encourage you to put a little extra thought into whether there's a different way of doing things. Even if you have justification for a joining fee, maybe consider additional pricing tiers. Perhaps making some of the extra cost stuff, so that product or that tool or that software for which you need to charge a fee, maybe make that optional. Perhaps switching to an annual pricing model instead of monthly, so you essentially get to spread out any additional costs over a longer period of time, rather than having a big charge up front and then a lower monthly cost. Things like that are certainly going to be more likely to be more palatable to the average consumer than what might appear to be an arbitrary one-off joining fee. Anyway, hopefully this episode has been useful for you. I'll make no bones about the fact I'm not a big fan of joining fees unless you have a very, very good reason to do so. I don't feel like because I can get away with it is a good enough reason. Unfortunately, some other people don't feel that way. But those are my views. Hopefully they make sense to you, and hopefully it's giving you food for thought about whether it makes sense for you to charge a joining fee to people who are signing up to your membership. That is it from me for this week. Hopefully you found this show useful. I'll be back again next week with another installment of the Membership Guys podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Membership Guys podcast, we invite you to check out membershipacademy.com. The Membership Academy is the essential resource for anyone at any stage of starting, growing, and running a membership website. Whether you're still trying to figure out what your idea is going to be, or whether your website is already up and running and you're just looking for ways to grow it and attract new members, then the Membership Academy can help you to get to the next level. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive member-only discounts, perks and tools, and a supportive, active community to help you along the way with feedback, encouragement and advice, the Membership Academy is the perfect place to be for anyone looking to start, manage and grow a successful membership website. Check it out at membershipacademy.com.